Awaken to your truth that you are the I Am presence in harmony with the divine. You are consciousness beyond what the body and mind identify. This is Moment to Moment. Host Lynda Hope will remind and enlighten you to know your divine nature. You were born into the body already aware, but forgot it as you expanded your sense of identity, ego mind, pattern behaviors, and habits. Stop sleepwalking and wake up to your timeless, eternal, formless self. Now, your host of Moment to Moment, Lynda Hope.
Oh, I'm sorry. I better wake up. I was kidding. No, this is really fun. Moment to Moment is all about being wakeful. And I have to say, I've been sleeping a lot this last week, having just gotten over COVID. So this is a perfect topic for me to discuss with you tonight. I know that many of you have experienced COVID in your moments, and maybe many, many times in the last 3 years since the onset of it. And the experience that you've had, I'm sure, has been fearful, maybe anxious. Maybe you were anxious about it. The world is very anxious about this pandemic, as they call it. And this gives us an opportunity to really talk about it from a place of a higher consciousness view. In fact, when COVID started, I believe I also had a show called Being One with my co-host Gary Goldman. And that was all about talking about this pandemic and how we can really look at it as an opportunity to ask ourselves questions like, who am I? Who am I? What is the truth of all this? Sometimes it has to get really raw for us to ask those kinds of deep questions. And when we were first shut down in the pandemic, what happened? We were told to stay inside. We were told to stay inside. Many of us resented that idea. We really didn't want to stay inside, did we? We wanted to go to our normal day and go to work and come home, and we didn't want anything changed. We didn't know what to do. Our life was not the same and continues not to be the same, but I think that's an opportunity to really evolve and change and grow. And when we were told to stay in our house, what did we do? Well, some of us bonded with our family, which was very important, or some of us didn't. Some of us probably had more challenges than we really wanted to deal with. And then there were times where we didn't want peace and quiet. And then we noticed how nice it was to have peace and quiet. For me personally, from a personal perspective, it was beautiful because I love to meditate. I love the stillness. I love to be in, as we say, the moment. And that also gave opportunity for reflection, self-reflection, self-actualization. In many of the spiritual community, this was huge. And then we realized that of these types of challenges in one's life, these are the moments where we really, really dig deep and we really, truly want to know, why are we here? What is this all about? What are the differences that we see in the world now is that we're trying to now normalize, right? In the beginning, it was, I don't know how I'm going to continue. I don't know what's going on. I'm fear-based. I'm fearful. I don't know. I don't know what to expect in the world. And now that things are sort of settling in a little bit, some people are returning to the routine of work. Some people are resisting that change. And they liked the opportunity of staying home and having it less stressful in the workplace. So we all adjust and adapt. But if we don't take these opportunities to grow spiritually from these experiences of life, then we're not really learning anything. We are, as I've said in previous shows, as a person, we're very habituated. We're patterned. We have this repetitive pattern about us, and we keep repeating over and over again. And because our life flows in a certain way, we're sort of used to it. We respond a certain way. And again, when the pandemic hit, we didn't know how to respond. We lost ourselves in a way to ask those questions. Wow, if I can't go to work, who am I? If I have to stay home with my family, oh my goodness, I'm going to go crazy, right? And so the personhood was attacked, felt under attack. And then the fear, which continues to reign over all of us, the fear of catching this virus, not fun at all, as you know. I mean, I experienced this in my body this last week, and my honey is sick with it right now, and going through the time of struggle of, why am I having to deal with this? I can't sit still. I don't want to be this, bum on the chair. I need to be out working. So we're going to talk about COVID in a way that maybe you haven't heard expressed before. If we say that COVID it's a name, but it has a lot of fear attached to it from the media, from also the experiences of out there where people were dying from this disease. And so we bring that into our frequency, our energy body, and we say, I don't want that. Resistance. The resistance creates that fear, that anxiety that could potentially happen to us. And then again, who is it happening to? So let's talk about that. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about the person that's being personally attacked by the disease? Yeah. Linda, Larry, whoever, Barbara, whoever just, have COVID, will testify to the fact that this is a drain on the body, that this does cause a lot of confusion, fever. It also has very, brain is on, really, you don't know what's happening to your brain. You're just, you've got all these thoughts coming back and forth, and it's a very confusing time. And for me, it was asking myself the question over and over again, who am I here with this invasive thing that is really trying to take me to my knees, trying to take over this body mind? Now, if you can really be quiet and still enough while your body is experiencing fever and the cloudiness of the mind, that your mind is, you're sleepy and you're distracted, and there's a lot of that going on. If you can view it, if you have some kind of distance that you can create between this and your body-mind experience, you can get a glimpse that you still are able to be conscious, that you are conscious. You are consciousness. That's who you are. But of course, the virus is a distraction, and it's claiming its territory. And now you're feeling victimized, and the body is being a victim of this. And then you start to identify as that victim. And that's where the identity of this person gets involved. You say, well, am I really sick? Am I, I guess I am sick. And then you start to feel that you are the victim of this disease, instead of knowing that this is just affecting this body, mind, and that you are not essentially that. You are not that. And again, you have to say, who am I? So many of you may not follow this, because it is we're really looking at two perspectives here. The perspective of a person, identity, with a sickness or with an experience that is overwhelming. It could be any experience, not just COVID. It could be any experience in your life that consumes you, that you so identify with so closely that it becomes who you are. It becomes your identity. And people walk around sometimes all their life feeling that they are sickly, right? Or, and then some of them believe that they are the disease. And some people feel that they can't exist in this world freely because everything reminds them of this. And that's what you call being so closely identified with something that there's no separation. So personally, I need to look at it and say, am I really that? Okay, no, I am not that. I am not the disease. I'm having a situation, but that's not who I am. And then again, you have to check in with yourself and say, okay, does the disease have effect on consciousness? Does COVID affect consciousness? It could feel that way because it's sort of taking you off of the moment. It's taking you out of this present moment by distracting you, and you're weak and you're not really thinking straight, really not. And so you can feel that you're being consumed by that COVID fog. And just like anything else, you can allow yourself to be carried away. So in this mindfulness practice that I've been doing for many, many, many decades here, it is always the question of, who am I? And can I be the witness to that? Am I the witness of that? And that's where you have to be very diligent and not allow a distraction to take you over and pull you away from who you really are. And we can do that all our life. And in most cases, we're doing that every day. Every single day, people are just believing themselves to be people with a mind, body, experiencing life, having ups and downs, living in duality, believing that that's all they are and there's nothing else, and having to cope with life and being victimized, feeling like they are the victim. Why? Because the ego mind is always playing the game. I was victimized. I'm being violated. And that, again, is not who you are. You are not your thoughts that say to you, I am sick. That's not who you are. You are not sickness. You are divine. You are joy. You are love. You are consciousness. And that is the truth of who you are. And you may not agree or believe it or feel it or, understand it. But when you are quiet and still and silent, and you go inward into your place of moment, of this divine moment, you know it to be your truth. So I'm going to take you into that place of the present moment now, because that's all we have right now is the present moment. But first, we're going to honor our sponsors and take this beautiful commercial break. But stay tuned to Moment with Lynda Hope.
Certified psychic medium Stephanie Lynn creates an authentic connection between the living and the spirit world. Stephanie knows she is here to help heal, educate, and provide validation that there is more after death, and allows herself to be a conduit and work as a team with spirit to pass on messages from their world to ours. Stephanie Lynn also works as a spiritual life coach to help you achieve, create, and manifest your best self and life. Looking for help communicating with an animal? Searching for a past life regression therapist? Or dealing with a paranormal experience? Stephanie Lynn is here to help. For a list of full services, visit her on Facebook under Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive. That's Stephanie Lynn Spirit Sensitive.
Welcome back to Moment to Moment. I'm your host, Lynda Hope, and I hope that you can focus now on the sense of who you are in this present moment. Moment to moment, we talk every moment about what it means to really fully understand the value of this time now. And again, this is all you have. This present moment is what's real. There's nothing else. There's nothing else but this moment. The last moment was a history. The next moment is a mystery. But this is the present of the present moment, present to yourself. So right now, I'd like you to just sort of shut off any distractions. I want you just to, if you want to close your eyes, you can. We don't have to take a meditation pose, but we can just be here now. And in the way that Eckhart Tolle guides us through that, I'm just going to be Eckhart Tolle-esque in the way. I'm going to ask you to feel into the room. And you could look around your room, look around and see what objects are on the walls, in the ceiling, your lights, your pictures, people around you, the colors that are here, smells. Are you really fully focused and alert right now in this moment? You can know that. You can see that. Or are you feeling distracted? Are you experiencing any distractions? You can also witness that. But be present now and using your sense perceptions. Okay. So what do you see? And what do you hear anything? You feel anything? Is there something within your body that you're sensing as well? As you sit here, you're sensing your breath as well in this moment. Is there an appreciation for this moment? Are you fully enjoying now? You bring in that sense of appreciation for what you see, right? So let's say I see a beautiful painting that my daughter did on the wall. It's one of my favorite paintings. I just love to see that because her sense of color and form and light, extremely exciting. And the more we can appreciate what we see, what we feel, what we touch, what we're experiencing now, the more this moment becomes richer and more alive. And what I feel is so interesting is that we overlook the obvious right now. In the description of objects that we see, we also have to remember that this is space, that what we are not seeing is space or energy, but it's here. It's here. But we overlook it. I believe Eckhart Tolle talked about the fish in the water, that their fish talking to another fish saying, I'd love to see water. I don't know if I've ever seen water before. And the other fish says, I don't know. Love to see water, but they're in the water, but they don't know that they're in the water because they've always been in the water. And so it's the same feeling. This is space. As they say, the final frontier, right? This is it. And we know and recognize it. We forget this. We're all energy too, right? Quantum physics will say we are all energy. And we can feel the aliveness of our energy when we know that, when we understand that we all vibrate at different frequencies, and our fingers, we can sense the energy and the aliveness in our body. So we can just close our eyes for a moment and just, without even looking at our hands, we know our hands are there. because we can sense them and we can feel the aliveness of the fingers. You can do that with any part of your body. You can feel the aliveness within. And the breath, knowing that we have breath and that we are being breathed. And even if our brains didn't tell us to breathe, we'd be, we're not going to think to breathe. We don't need to think every minute to breathe, right? We are being breathed. And that's a deeper knowing that there is something on this very deep level of consciousness that is present. We are consciousness. And everything that is experienced cannot be experienced without consciousness being there first. In fact, they say that consciousness plus an object is experience. Because as consciousness, it is just this. We're just here. And there's this feeling of expansiveness and spaciousness and stillness beyond the mind body, beyond the thoughts. It's just all perfect. And when something comes into this experience, an object appears, it affects this present moment. Like a thought will come up and seem to it cannot eclipse this consciousness because it's just a thought. It'll just come up. But we understand that as consciousness, that we can just see it, witness it, allow it, and it'll go away because it always does. Nothing is permanent, very impermanent. Everything comes and goes in our experience, except consciousness. Consciousness never comes and goes. It's always here. And so when we sometimes feel as a person that when we get sick, I know my girlfriend always says, I'll never get over this. I'll never get well. I just feel I'll always be sick. Well, you sort of feel that way when you're sick. You say, I'll never get over this. And you start to believe it. And then you get depressed. And then it gets you down, right? Because you're believing that thought that you'll never get over this cold, or you'll never get over COVID, or you'll never get over anything, right? Or you'll always be unemployed. Whatever your thoughts, negative thoughts are doing to you, if you are attaching yourself to them and believing them to be true, then they're your truth. Then you perceive it to be that way. But if you perceive it to be different, oh, well, this is not going to stay. This COVID thing is going to leave. It's all going to pass, and this too shall pass. And, it's not me, and I'm cool with it. There's going to be less resistance. There's going to be more a flow in that. You're not going to dislike it so much. You're not going to beat it up and say, you're the worst thing that ever happened to me and poor me, right? You're going to just say, it is what it is. The body needs to mend itself. I am going to do my part as consciousness to be at peace with it, to be at peace with, and to be the peace, because you are that. I will be peaceful with this, and I will allow it, and I won't resist it, because the minute you resist it, you increase the energy of it. You increase its power over you. That's when you start spinning down the rabbit hole. That's when you get, I don't want this. I never wanted it. I'm never going to have it again. And then guess what? You get it again, because whatever you are putting out there in the universe and creating, you're creating it by your thoughts to it and your attention to it. And so just know that if you don't want something to keep reappearing in your life, don't give it much attention, and just allow it to pass, and to focus in on the truth of who you are, that I am conscious, and I am this, and I am perfect in this beautiful way of energy that I am. And again, the stillness, the quietness, that is your essential self is always here, always is. So I'm going to bring up a friend. Her name is Barbara. And I want her to express to you, she just got through with COVID and she's got the best attitude in the world. Barbara, I'm going to bring you on if that's okay. Hi, Barb. How are you today?
Well, let me just tell you, I didn't let COVID control me. Because if COVID controls you, then you can't heal. So I accepted COVID was it was. I didn't love it. I didn't feel that great. But I accepted it wasn't. It wasn't poor well me, because I'll tell you something. If my vibrations were poor well me, I wouldn't be recovering as quick as I did. Thank God. Because I let it run its space, and then whatever happens, happens. But sure, I didn't love it, but I didn't concentrate on it. I didn't want to concentrate on it. I wanted to let it go and concentrate on something else, enjoy the music, listen to music, find something different, do the exercises, do something that's fun, and enjoy what you can. As you said, this is the only moment to enjoy. I mean, this is being in the present, and I believe it, because we can't predict the future. There's no way. So let's enjoy what we can, even if you have COVID. So you have a little chicken soup. You enjoy eating the chicken soup. What's the big deal? You can't, when you persist, resist.
It persists.
Yeah, it persists. Right. And it doesn't work that way. So what I did, like anything else, it was just day by day. And that was okay. I couldn't change it.
No, right.
I couldn't change it. And I wasn't looking to change it. I really wasn't. It's just what it was.
That's right. And that's the thing. That's the key, right? Isn't it, Barb? Because we talk about the present moment. The present moment is perfect just the way it is. And so if we don't like our present moment,
and
we continue not to like our present moment, that's a pretty sad life.
Right. But that's where Lynda, all the spirituality and all the classes I've taken and studying the spirituality and listening to you and all your guidance and mentoring has given me the attitude. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have this attitude. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you have the attitude of gratitude.
I know. There's only one way to be. I don't know of any other way.
You're amazing, Barb. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, but Barb is an amazing person. And not only is she an amazing person, she's an amazing spirit. She knows she's conscious. She's perfectly conscious, and she's aware. She's alert. She's aware. She loves to have fun. I know she's been in my meditation class for years now. And we talk about how music is so inviting and it really raises our vibration. And I was saying, I'd love to put on music and dance every day. And she loves to do that now. So when she said, turning your attention, right? Turning your attention to something that inspires you, that uplifts you, and that really resonates with who you essentially are. And instead of saying that, oh, I'm in the misery of something, look where your mind is taking you. If you have a negative thought about something, you can change that. You are not the victim of your thoughts. And most of the thoughts that we have, unfortunately, because we're patterned and we're people, a lot of flaws, we tend to believe the worst case scenario. I think my father, who was a lawyer, may his soul rest in peace, he'd say the worst case scenario is, and I would say, what is that about? What do I have to know the worst case scenario? I don't want the worst case scenario. I want the best case scenario. And he would say, that person's, boy, look at them. They're really suffering. Boy, I'm glad I'm not them. We compare ourselves a lot to other people as well. We compare, we judge. We want to know where we fit into the scheme of things, right? And that's all our ego. And some people will say, well, was I sick? Do you think you were sick? I was sicker than that, but I don't talk about it. So we all have our little craziness about it, about sickness and about health and our situation in life and our stories. We love our stories. We love to talk about our stories. Some people, I don't know if you notice, are continually talking about how they were growing up or all about the memories of growing up and their challenges, and they continue to live in the past. And if you're one of those people who continue to stay in the past, maybe this show will help you to understand that the past is just a memory in the now. You are just having a memory about something that happened to you in the past. It's now in the present moment. And guess what it's doing to this present moment when you do that? If all you're talking about is the past in this present moment, are you fully enjoying this present moment? Are you really in this moment for what it is now? The beauty of it, the perfection of it, the joy of it? Probably not. And if you are worried, if you're a worrier, many people are, about the next day, about the next moment, and what you're going to do then, and making your lists and checking it twice, coming up to that holiday. If you are looking to just keep worrying about the future, are you really in the now, right now? Most likely, you're not. Okay. So, again, how do you wake up? How do we wake up from the illusion and the delusions of the mind and our thought patterns and our habitual ways? How do we transform that? And why should we transform that in the first place? I think it's easier just to stay as the person. I really do. It is easier. You already know who, basically, you have a history, which is, we have a history. We were born into this world. We have a family. We have parents. We have an education. We have a title. We have a role. We have a, strong identity. Some of us have an identity and a desire to look a certain way, or to have a certain way of operating in the world that's all ours, and an opinion and a belief structure that's really powerful. Like, if you don't believe what I believe, I don't like you. You're not my friend. And that happens all the time, right? We run into a lot of people with a lot of strong beliefs, especially around COVID, especially around the way this world is now, and the politics and the economy, and you name it, we have an opinion. It's like getting 3 rabbis in a room and getting 4 opinions, or, that's the joke. But we do. And the more that we see it, it's even more diverse. It's even more challenging. Here's the people who are vaxxed and people who aren't vaxxed. And if you're not vaxxed, you're a plague on this world. Supposedly that's somehow the belief system there is. You have to do it this way. Otherwise, you are not conforming or being socially or responsible to this world. So there are some really strong moral issues that are going around these days with the pandemic. And so what do we believe to be our truth? Well, again, if you are a person and you have strong beliefs, then you're going to try to stick to it, and nobody's going to change your mind. But if you start to wake up a little bit and you realize that essentially you're not that person, you are deeper than that, you have a higher consciousness view of your existence than just being a person with a very limited viewpoint and a very limited perspective, then there's some kind of ability to actually not take things so personally, and to see that there is value in everybody's opinion and everybody's viewpoint, and everybody's diversity. And yet, you even go higher in your consciousness and you realize that we're actually all the same, because the essence of who we are is really all one, and that you are a reflection of each other. And then there's an opportunity at that point to actually be compassionate and loving and want to share that love with others and appreciate people where they are in their spiritual journey, and hope to say something or share something that will inspire, and so they can see by looking in your eyes who they really are. Have you ever been around a person that just their presence in the room brings you into such a happy place where you can't wait to see them because their energy is so beautiful and rich? That's how I feel about Barb, frankly. She's got this glow about her all the time, ageless glow that is contagious. Yes, I'm talking about you, Barb. And that is a timeless, ageless energy, because we really, as much as we identify with this person, with this face, with this age, with this, you're female, you're male, you're 36, you're 52, you're whatever, you begin to identify as that person with those titles and beliefs and roles, that's all you can see. And then you separate yourself by doing that. I'm young, you're old, I'm smart, I'm thin, you're fat, I'm educated, you're not educated. And again, that's when we don't recognize our similarities. We mostly think of ourselves as different from each other. And that's the distortion. That's the delusion. That's the, as they call in Buddhism, that's the ignorance. That's being ignorant. And we need to understand our true self. We need to understand what is really true and experience it within ourselves. It's an experiential learning. This is not a book learning course. I'm not asking you to pick up a book on spirituality and read it from cover to cover and say, I'm going to follow this meditation and this mantra, or I'm going to learn these facts about the Bhagavad Gita or about non-dualistic teaching. No, this is something that you experience in yourself, that you can immediately experience now within your spacious divine essence, and recognize it. Actually recognize that you are that. There is a knowing. That's the difference between learning something and knowing something. That's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Wisdom is this divine knowing of self that's all connected to the one of God. That is that field, that oneness field of the divine that we all are one with. It's sort of the same as we're talking about the air that we breathe. We don't see it, right? It's the fish in the water, that the fish don't see the water. It's the same thing. We don't see that in ourselves. Why? Because we're not taught that. Do we learn that in school? No. I grew up in Glencoe. My father was a lawyer. My mother was an artist. My brother's now a doctor. I became an artist and then changed many, many careers and professions, and became a clergy and a chaplain and a whatever, you name it, I was it. And I loved the process, but it didn't get me closer to knowing who I was until many experiences that woke me up. Why did I wake up is the question. I woke up because I was tired of being sick and tired. I was tired of the person that I was. I was tired of looking at a mind. I was able to look at my mind, thank goodness, and see how negative it was and how judgmental it was and how limiting it was and how painful life was. And I didn't want that. I knew there was got to be something better than that out there. I think that my connection with God as a young child was always very strong. I just knew there was a God. But I also didn't feel that a God out there in the heavens was that God. Somehow I knew God was in here. And I needed to find it, really find it. So when I went to the Institute of Jewish Spirituality and did a 16-month program where I did very many silent retreats. I know I mentioned this in the last few shows. When you get really quiet and everything is mindful, of course, the word mindful is, I don't like the word mindful, it means mind is full, but no. Once the mind gets quiet, because it gets really quiet when you go to a silent retreat, it starts to get so quiet and still that you see your thoughts really well. I mean, there they are, like, whoa, and you see those judgments. And after the third day of seeing my crazy mind, I actually yelled at myself. I was in the bathroom and I finally said, shut up. Like, shut up. And I didn't yell it. I actually said it internally so loudly inside my head that it was the coding of it was like the Matrix. The code went like, whoa, where'd it go? And it was really strange. And it was all of a sudden so quiet. There were no thoughts in my mind whatsoever. No thoughts. I was sort of baffled. And we were instructed to go outside for a walk. I said, okay, I'm going to go for a walk. So I walked outside, looking around, talk about being in the moment. Wow. Can you imagine being in nature, walking down the road, feeling the wind on your face, hearing the birds singing, seeing the people walking, seeing how beautiful nature was with no thoughts in your head. Just imagine. Just space. Space. And such a joy came over me. It was like you're back as a baby coming into this world with this sense of awe, just, wow, those are my hands. What is that? Again, you're a baby, you're just going, I don't know what that is, but that's so cool. And you're looking at everything with wonder because you've never, ever seen it before. It's like you've never seen the trees before. You've never seen a flower before. You've never seen anything before. And you just can't get over the beauty of it. That is truly a miracle. And how rare that feels. I think that's why people love to go on vacation to places they've never been, because they want to feel that excitement. They want to feel the excitement of something new and different and beautiful and rich, because they want that so deeply, to know that all the time, because they know that's who they are. That's why they love a baby when they look at a baby. That's why When you look at a dog, the dog looks at you with total acceptance and love, doesn't judge you. And it reflects back to you how perfect you are, how precious you are, how loving you are, how, the qualities that you know are you in that place of light and love. And so when you see it reflected, you already know that's who you are. There's no denying it. So as I'm walking on that road with no mind, no thoughts, it was actually interesting because I was walking along and I had a thought like, you know what, by now you'd be thinking that person is a certain way, or you'd be thinking this, but you're not thinking that. It was like an internal dialogue of a comment of how I would have been, but I'm not now. It was truly interesting. It was very interesting. That lasted about 2 hours. And then the thoughts started slowly coming back. But I realized from that point on, that I was consciousness. I was consciousness. And everything else that was happening in this body-mind experience just was coming and going. It was just all coming, rising and falling. But when it went, I didn't go with it. I was still here. I was still the witness. I was still looking at the world through grace and through the eyes of admiration and love and allowing and treasuring every moment. Can you imagine if this world could appreciate their world on a daily basis? If everyone in this world could be grateful and appreciative of their moment, how this world would be a different place? How tremendous would that be? That nobody would be blaming anybody for making them unhappy, because nobody can make you unhappy. Consciousness does not feel happy or sad, or it doesn't live in duality. It's not mad, or it's not, doesn't have it doesn't have a personality with an identity. It just is. And so it doesn't have an opinion. It just flows with what is. What's experiencing in that consciousness is what is. And there's no resistance. There's no denying. There's no pushing it around and wanting to be different than it is, because it knows itself to be perfect. And yet, as people, we're very imperfect, aren't we? It seems like in fact, when I was going through this COVID thing, I was feeling sort of schizophrenic. It's like 1 minute I was feeling like the person, totally out of control and challenged to the hilt, right? And the next minute I'd wake up and say, oh, wait a second, that's a bad dream. That's not who I am, okay? And so you could feel definitely like you're going to have a psychological break. I mean, you just don't, especially if you are so in tune with this whole psychological nonsense and the feeling of how different that is from who you really are. I think that's the case. If you really truly understood the craziness of your mind, and you really saw it, would you really want to live there? You really wouldn't know. I don't want to live there. I don't want to live in my mind. No. And yet my mind does some nice things. I mean, my mind can be very, appreciative. But the patterning that we're raised, and the attitudes and the negativity that pretty much pervades our mind, that starts to quiet over time when you stop identifying as a person. Because the thoughts are only there to rile the person. It's only there to get your attention as the person. So it's there to sort of shake you up and And in a way, we need our ego mind to do that. If we didn't have our ego mind, causing all kinds of havoc, we wouldn't be waking up. And that's when Eckhart Tolle, if you know Eckhart Tolle, the beautiful spiritual teacher of the power of now and stillness speaks and real. Eckhart Tolle always talks about that if we didn't get challenged in life enough, we wouldn't want to wake up. We just go, oh, okay, this life is bearable. Okay, I'm going along. I'm fairly happy. I feel fairly content. And a lot of us do. We're going through life after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, sort of feeling that way, right? I like my life. Why would I change my life? A lot of people say, why would I change my life? I love my life. So what? I'm not that happy. So what? I don't have such a happy marriage, but it's okay. It's like, sort of reminds me of that movie, Bye Bye Birdie, where the mother is coming to see her son, and she takes three bus rides to get there, and she walks into his office, and he goes, Mama, sit down. What's wrong? What are you doing? She says, I was on 3 buses, but that's okay. I'm a mother, and a mother that's fine for a mother. It's good. It's all right. It's that kind of thing where, well, we don't deserve anything. We don't deserve to be happy. Why should we be happy? Why should I be happy? Yeah. As long as my son is happy, it's okay. But that's what we do to ourselves. We just sort of accept it as that's life. That's life. Why should we be so happy? Right? We deserve to be happy? No, I don't know about that. But the ego wants to be in charge, and it wants to be happy at other people's expense most of the time. Or pointing fingers at other people and saying, you said the wrong thing. I'm not happy. It's your fault I'm not happy. Or blaming the world for their problems. It's time to wake up. It's time to stop blaming the world for your problems. Stop being the victim. And stop cursing everybody for your unhappiness. Take responsibility and really ask yourself, who am I? Really? Wouldn't that be a nice thing? Just start with that question. Who am I? And really close your eyes and look inward and feel the aliveness in your body and witness. Be the witness of your life. Start with that. Be the witness of your life, like a little fly on the wall, looking at you and your life and understanding that your life as the person is just the dream, is just that projection on the screen, like a movie. You like movies, right? I don't like horror movies. I'm very sensitive to horror movies, but I like happy movies. I don't like violent movies. I'm sure some of you do. Why? Because we like to get into the movie. Somehow there's a feeling of, I don't know, intrigue, adventure, excitement that we don't get in our real life. I hate to tell you that we get a lot of excitement and adventure in our real life. We don't need that kind of stuff. Really, we don't. But if you like it, go ahead. I'm just making a point here. Look at the movie screen. Let's compare the movie screen to your life. You're going to look at a movie, right? You're going to turn on your favorite movie and you're going to enjoy it. Like, okay, Mary Poppins. Okay. And Mary Poppins is going to take out her umbrella and she's going to fly off. Now, you know that you can't do that. That's not, that's make-believe, right? Okay. That's not real. So think about it for a little bit. Now, that movie screen, let's think of that movie screen as consciousness. Okay? So if there's a movie playing and there's a house on fire, does the screen itself catch fire? No. Just that building caught fire. Or if a person's laughing on the set, does the screen also jump up and down like it's laughing? No, it's a screen. Nothing affects that screen. It's the screen. So just think of that as you, as the witness, as consciousness. You are the screen. And nothing on the other side of that screen, on the projection, which is projecting out into the real world, on the other side of the lens of perception is the experience. But you are behind the camera, the lens. And you are seeing the experience. You are seeing it play out in the world. But you don't have to attach yourself to anything, because you are not the person experiencing it. You are consciousness viewing it. And that is the experience. And you start to not take yourself so personally. You see yourself as just a series of events and perceptions and ideas and beliefs that don't really matter. They're all just sort of made up as you go along. And they're very limiting and restricting and challenging. A lot of contrast, a lot of drama. At some point, you're going to say, it's time to wake up. I want to be peaceful because I am peaceful. That's who I essentially am. I'm peaceful, and I'm just loving the stillness and the spaciousness that is essentially my nature. So I can allow this world to be played out and all these events to be played out in the world. And I can appreciate it. And I can love everyone for their journey in it and their experience in my life, having come into my life at beautiful times, to have fun and to bring out the divinity within us as we share in the beauty of the moment, of this moment together. So if anything is challenging in your life, just ask yourself that question. Who am I? What is my essential nature? And begin to love and appreciate this world for what it is. And especially knowing that you are the love that really permeates all in existence. Isn't that a beautiful place to be? Moment to moment. So thank you for being here with me. Please join me next Tuesday as we again talk about who we are in this moment, to really fully actualize in that state of love and peace, and share that with others. Share this moment with others to the greatest extent that you can. Be the joy, be the love, and know that you are already loved. With such appreciation and gratitude. See you next week. I'm Lynda Hope.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.